I am making a Mitsurugi Dragon Archfiend deck profile, mainly because I was starting to get a little bored of playing pure Red Dragon Archfiend, so I figured why not play a Mitsurugi. However, the only downside is as I was building the deck, I'm bad at figuring out ratios for engines, so it's wound up being a 60 card deck. I still like how it works, as it still has all its combos and being able to search. The only thing this deck really loses to, from what I've tested, is just the only thing that actually stops it from comboing is just Droll and Lockbird, because it searches like crazy. Anyway, starting off with the monsters, I play 2 copies of Synchron Resonator. Synchron Resonator is a free summon as long as there's a Synchro monster on the field. And if it is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can target a Synchron in your a Resonator in your graveyard except for a Synchron Resonator and return it to your hand. And I'm only playing 2 copies of Synchron Resonator for the graveyard effect of Red Rising Dragon. Next, I play 2 copies of Vision Resonator. Vision Resonator is a free summon as long as there is a level 5 or higher Dark monster on the field. And then, when Vision Resonator is sent to the graveyard, you can add a spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand. You can use each effect of Vision Resonator once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Red Resonator. Red Resonator usually is special summoned off of the next monster, but if it's normal summoned, then you can special summon a level 4 lower monster from your hand. And then if Red Resonator is special summoned, then you can target 1 monster from the field and gain life points equal to its attack points. Next, I play 1 copy of Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator, first of all, is one of the biggest locks of the deck, but that's only for the extra deck, so it really doesn't do anything in this deck. Where if you use any of its effects, then you cannot summon from the extra deck for the turn, except for Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. Or for the rest of the turn, I mean. The Crimson Resonator is a free summon if you control no monsters. And then if the only other monster you control is exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro, then you can special summon 2 more Resonators from your deck. And you'll use each effect of Crimson Resonator once per turn. I almost said Synchron Resonator. Next, I play 3 copies of Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator has the effect that when it's normal or special summoned, you can add a card, or level 4 or lower Fiend from your deck to your hand. And then this card's in your graveyard, and a card or cards you control be destroyed while you control a Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard instead, and you can only use each effect of Soul Resonator once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Darkness Resonator. Darkness Resonator is a free summon by revealing a Red Dragon Archfiend in your hand. And then once per turn, you can activate Darkness Resonator's effect. You target any number of tuner monsters you control, and change their levels to 1. And then you can only use each effect of Darkness Resonator once per turn. And its final effect, because I always forget about it, because I usually activate it and then just never use it. When it is summoned, whether it be normal or special summoned, you can activate its effect to give you an additional normal summon of a Resonator monster this turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Red Lotus King Flame Crime. Flame Crime has the effect that if you control a Fiend Tuner, you can special summon this card. You can activate its effect to summon itself from the hand. And then on summon, you can activate its effect again to inflict 400 points of damage for every different fire monster you control. Every fire monster you control with different names. Usually it deals only 800 points of damage because it'll be itself and Soul Resonator. But its main effect you use it for is its effect when it's sent to the graveyard as Synchro Material. Because when it's sent to the grave as Synchro Material, you can then send a normal trap from your deck to the graveyard. Although I have considered taking out Flame Crime and replacing it with 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. Though I still like how the one Flame Crime, that was just a thought I had. Comment down below if you think that's something I should try or not. Next, I play 3 copies of Bone Archfiend. Bone Archfiend is both a starter and an extender, as you can activate its effect in hand, send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard for cost, which then special summon itself, and then once per turn, It special summons itself from hand or graveyard, and you can only use that effect upon archery once per turn, followed by its next effect, where you can target one monster you control, send a resonator from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, you can increase or decrease the targeted monster's level by 1. However, if you use that effect, you cannot summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except by Dark Dragon Synchros. Everything in this extra deck is a Dark Dragon Synchro, so locking yourself into Dark Dragon Synchros does not hurt you at all. Mainly because it's just the extra deck and the Mitsurugis are, even though they're not Dark Dragon Synchros, they're from the main deck, so they work. Anyway, moving on to the next starter of the an extender of the deck is just 3 copies of Power Vice Dragon. Power Vice Dragon has the effect that, let me see, these a bit centered because I didn't realize they weren't very well centered. But it has the effect that if you can activate its effect if you control no monsters or only control Dark Dragon Synchros, where you can special summon it from your hand, and then on summon it'll let you add a resonator from your deck to your hand. And it does have another effect, but I've never used it, which is, where is it? A Red Dragon Archfiend that was synchro summoned using this card's material cannot be destroyed by battle. Which, I don't think it really needed that effect. Because ordinarily this is being used to summon either Red Rising Dragon, or it's going to be summoning the Crimson King. Now for the Mitsurugi engine, as that's it for the Red Dragon Archfiend monsters. I play 1 copy of Nightsword Serpent, 1 copy of Saji, 1 copy of Aramasa. Nightsword Serpent is able to summon itself when it is sent to the graveyard by card effect, but it's banished when it leaves the field. And then Saji, Aramasa, and the last of the level 4 lower monsters for Mitsurugi, the Kusanagi, all share an effect that activates when they are summoned or tributed, where Saji will let you add a Mitsurugi spell or trap, Aramasa will let you add a monster, and then Kusanagi will let you target a Mitsurugi card that's banished from your graveyard and return it to your hand. And then they also all share the effect that if your Mitsurugi ritual monster be destroyed, I believe by battle or card effect, you contribute this monster instead. Next, I play 1 copy of Mitsurugi. I can't remember their full names. Futsu no Mitama no Mitsurugi. I'm just gonna call it Futsu from now on. This monster has the effect of when your opponent special summons once per chain, you can activate its effect to summon a Mitsurugi monster from your graveyard. Next, I play 1 copy of Habakiri. Habakiri has 2 effects, where while it's on the field, all your opponent's monsters lose 800 attack, and then also has the effect in hand, where once per duel, you can reveal it in your hand, summon a Mitsurugi monster from your deck, and then tribute a monster on your field. Ordinarily, you'll activate its effect, reveal it, summon Saji, tribute Saji, Saji will then grab prayers, and then prayers will tribute the Habakiri in your hand to add a monster, and then bring back Saji. Anyway, next, for the last of the Mitsurugi monsters, I play 3 copies of Mitsurugi Murakumo. Murakumo, honestly, is my favorite of the Mitsurugi monsters, as it has the effects of when it is special summoned, it lets you Regeki your opponent's field, and then once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can activate Murakumo's effect so that your opponent has to discard a card, or else that effect is negated. And the part I didn't mention about each of the rituals, they all share 1 effect, which is if they are tributed, you can add a Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand, and then lastly, special summon the card if it had already been ritual summoned. Moving on to the last monster of the deck is just 3 copies of Ash Blossom Joy Spring. This is mainly in here just to negate Molcharmies, although I have considered putting Droll in here to stop the Molcharmies as well, although Droll hurts this deck a lot more, so probably won't do that. Surprisingly, this deck can play around Dimensional Shifter Fissure and Macrocosmos better than it can Droll and Lockbird. Because Dispater's a card. Is there any reason why? But anyway, Ash just negates anything that lets your opponent move a card from deck to hand, deck to field, or deck to grave. For these spells, I play one copy of Red Dragon Archfiend, Harpy's Feather Duster. This card destroys all your opponent's spells and traps while you control Red Dragon Archfiend. I'm only playing one copy of it because it is searchable off of Crimson Gaia, which can grab it from deck or grave. Next, I play one copy of Crimson Call. Crimson Call lets you add a level 4 lower Fiend monster from your graveyard to your hand, but if you control a Synchro monster that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend, then you can also add from deck. Next, I play one copy of Mitsurugi Mirror. This card lets you ritual summon any reptile ritual monster from your hand or grave, but you have to tribute ritual monsters from your hand or field whose level equal or exceed the tribute that monster's level. And then if a Mitsurugi ritual monster is tributed while this card's in your graveyard, you can return this card to your deck. Next, I play one copy of Mitsurugi Ritual. This card has 2 effects, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Where you can ritual summon a Mitsurugi monster from your hand by tributing 2 reptiles from your deck. Or you can ritual summon a Mitsurugi. One more second. You can ritual summon a reptile. A reptile ritual monster from your deck by tributing. Let's see, is it 1? I can never remember. I'm tributing reptile monsters from your hand or field. Okay, no. You tribute reptile monsters from your hand or field, and then you ritual summon from deck. But I believe there's some kind of restriction if you summon from the deck. Okay, no, there's not. Anyway, lets you ritual summon from deck, or you can ritual summon from your hand by tributing 2 reptiles from your deck. Next, I play 3 copies of Ragged Records of Rites. This card has the effect where you reveal a ritual spell in your hand or deck, Mirror. And if you do, you add a monster from your deck to your hand that monster mentions. It mentions all 3 of the Mitsurugi ritual monsters, so ordinarily this will just grab another Habakiri. Then a face-up ritual monster you control leaves the field by card effect. While this card is in your graveyard, you can return this card to your hand. Unless it was the damage step. You can only use each effect of Ragged Record of Rites once per turn. I still don't know how I feel about this card in this deck, as Habakiri is extremely searchable in this deck. Because this searches it, Aramasa can search it, even Crimson Blade Dragon can search it, so I might just take these out for 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, just to have 3 additional ways of getting to Red Rain. Next, I play 3 copies of Resonator Call. Resonator Call just lets you add a Resonator monster from your deck to your hand, not once per turn. So if you have open 3 copies of it, you can use it to add 3 Resonators. Next, I play 3 copies of Overtuning. Overtuning has the effect that you can only activate it while you control a tuner. You can only activate 1 Overtuning per turn, but it'll let you special summon a tuner monster from your hand or deck, or graveyard, and then you're locked into synchros for the rest of the turn. But again, this deck has nothing but synchro monsters, so its lock doesn't really do anything. Next, I play 3 copies of Mitsurugi Prayers. Mitsurugi Prayers lets you tribute a reptile monster from your hand or field when it's activated, and then you can apply one of the 2 effects, but if you tribute a monster on activation, then you can apply both effects in sequence, where you get to add a Mitsurugi monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can take 800 points of damage to then special summon a Mitsurugi monster from your hand or graveyard. However, you cannot attack directly. Next, I play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplight. Droplight lets you send any number of other cards from your hand or field to the graveyard, to then of monster, spell, or trap, to then be able to non-target negate the effects of monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of cards you sent, as well as having their attack. Furthermore, your opponent cannot respond with the same card type, monster, spell, or trap, as what you send. So you send a monster and a spell, your opponent can only respond to traps, or if you send monster, spell, and trap, your opponent can't respond at all. Then lastly for the spells, I play 3 copies of Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia has the effect that once per turn, You can add a card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for another copy of Crimson Gaia. When a Red Dragon Archfiend declares an attack, or when your Red Dragon Archfiend declares an attack, you can change all monsters your opponent controls to defense position. And its final effect is if a card or cards on the field are destroyed, then you can special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from your graveyard. And you can only use each effect of Crimson Gaia once per turn. Moving on to the traps. For the traps, I play one copy of Red Zone, one copy of Red Rain, and one copy of Mitsurugi Great Purification. Red Zone has two effects where once per turn you can target a Dark Dragon Synchro that is banished and special summon it to your field. And its other effect can only be activated while you control a Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it. As when your opponent activates a card or effect, then you can target one card on the field and destroy it. You can use each effect of Red Zone once per turn. Then Red Rain has the effect that can only be activated if you control a level 8 or higher Synchro monster. You banish all monsters on the field except for the monsters with the highest level. So if you control 2 level 12s, you'll banish all monsters on the field that are lower than level 12. And then any monsters that remain are unaffected by other card effects except their own. And then if this card's in your graveyard, this is why you send it to the graveyard off of Flame Crime, or what I want to put Forbidden or Foolish Burial Goods in the deck to send it to the graveyard. If it's in the graveyard and you Synchro Summon, you can return this card from your graveyard to your hand. You'll use each. You only use the. Let's see, I think it was. Yeah, you can only use the graveyard effect of Red Rain once per turn. Then to finish off the traps, I play 3 copies of Dominus Impulse. This card just negates any, can activate from hand if your opponent controls a card, but you cannot use the effects of light, earth, or wind monsters. Everything in this deck is either dark or fire. But when your opponent activates a card or effect that would special summon, you can use Impulse to negate, and then if you have a trap in your graveyard, it also destroys. And then lastly, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence can be activated from your hand while you control no face-up cards. I think it was no face-up cards. It might be no cards. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, you have to control no cards. But it lets you target one monster your opponent controls and negates effects until the end of the turn. But if it was set when it was activated, then also negates all card spells and traps in its column. Which, if you activate on your turn, be careful, because that will negate your own as well. Then, that's it for the main deck. Like I said, the main deck is 60 cards. The main thing I'm thinking about changing is replacing Ragged Record of Rights with Forbidden, or Foolish Burial Goods. I don't know why I keep trying to say Forbidden Crown. I don't have crowns. But, moving on to the extra deck, I play 2 copies of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon is not once per turn with any of its effects, which I think is hilarious. But it has the effect that when it's Synchro Summoned, you can target a Resonator in your graveyard and special summon it. And then if this card's in your graveyard, you can except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to then special summon 2 level 1 Resonators from your graveyard. Next, I play 1 copy of Crimson Blade Dragon. Crimson Blade Dragon has the effect of when it's Synchro Summoned, you can add a level 8 or level 8 or higher monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. Cough Cough, Habakiri, or any other ritual monster Cough Cough from your deck to your hand. And then let's see, it has another effect where if it battles, let's see. Okay, you either add to your hand or special summon with effects negated. You can only use that effect of Crimson Blade Dragon once per turn. Its name is always treated as Crimson Blade or Crimson Blader, which is one reason I thought about playing Crimson Blader Assault Mode and 1 Assault Mode Activate just for this card. But instead, it has another effect where at the start of the damage step, if this card battle level 5 or higher monster, you can destroy that monster. Which that effect usually doesn't get used because normally this will start Habakiri and then be used as synchro material for something else. Next, I play 1 copy of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Once per turn, you activate Scarlight's effect to destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack equal to or less than its own. Normally it'll be 3,000. And then inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. Next, I play 2 copies of the Crimson King. The Crimson King has the effect on summon, or on Synchro Summon, I believe. To add, yes, on Synchro Summon, it lets you add a card mentioning Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand. And then if your opponent activates a monster effect, then you can activate its effect, banishing itself for cost, to be able to summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck, treat it as a Synchro Summon, with its attack points becoming double what its current, and then it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Next, I play 1 copy of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Scarlet's name Scarred Dragon Archfiend. I don't know why I said Scarlight. I apologize. But Scarred Dragon Archfiend has the same effect as Scarlight, where its name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the graveyard. And then if it leaves the field, then we'll use special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. Then if it was sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can also destroy all attack position monsters. I think it was all monsters. I can't remember if it's all monsters or all attack position. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it destroys all attack position monsters your opponent controls. Next, I play 2 copies of Red Dragon Archfiend, just because there are at least 2 different monsters in the extra deck that can summon it. But Red Dragon Archfiend has the effect where when it declares an attack, or when it battles a defense position monster, you activate its effect at the start of the damage step to destroy all defense position monsters your opponent controls. And then at the end of the turn, it has a mandatory effect that'll activate that will destroy all your monsters that you control that did not attack that turn. Which that's part of the reason why Soul Resonator has its graveyard effect, because if you end your turn with this card, you can just banish it and none of your monsters are destroyed. But ordinarily, you're not ending your turn with Red Dragon Archfiend on your field, so there's that at least. Next, I play 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Abyss has the effect of once per turn, it can target 1 card in the field as a quick effect to then negate its effects until the end of the turn. And then it has another effect where when it deals damage to your opponent, it lets you target 1 Resonator monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. Ordinarily, I'll have this target Red Resonator to then trigger Red Resonator's effect to be able to gain 3,200 life points, at least. Next, I play 1 copy of Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. This is the reason why I play 2 copies of Synchron Resonator, as it requires 2 tuners, and I think it's just... Yeah, and it's a non-tuner monster. It's generic, surprisingly. But Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend has the effect of being able to destroy every other card in the field. However, it's the only monster allowed to attack directly when you use that effect. And then it has another effect, which I don't know why it's there, where if your opponent activates a... But specifically is a trap card. You know, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card during the battle phase, you can activate Tyrant's effect to negate it, destroy it, and then inflict 500 points of inflict 500, and it gains 500 attack points. I don't know why it has that effect when it's also a board wipe. I feel like it would have been better if it was just generic spell trap negate instead of just battle phase specific. Next, I play 1 copy of Bestial Despater. Bestial Despater has 2 effects. Where once per turn you can target a banished dark or light monster and special summon it to your field. And then it also has the effect of when your opponent activates the effect or activates a monster effect, you can target a banished card and shuffle it into the owner's deck. And then you apply an effect based on whose deck it was shuffled into. If it was shuffled into your deck, you destroy the monster. But if it was shuffled into your opponent's deck, then you negate the effect. Next, I play 1 copy of Red Nova Dragon. Red Nova Dragon, you're never actually going to make, or hard make in this deck, but it has the effect of, it gains 500 attack for every tuner in your graveyard. The next 2 monsters also share that effect. Then your opponent, let's see, where is it? I try. It cannot be target or cannot target. It can't be destroyed by opponent's card or spells, trap, or monster effects. And then when opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card until the end of the turn. I think it's until the end of the turn. Yeah, you banish this card to negate the attack. And then during the end phase, it summons itself back if it was removed from play by its own effect. But you're never usually activating that effect. And then next, I play one copy of Red Supernova Dragon. Red Supernova Dragon has the effect where it cannot be targeted. I think it can't be targeted. Okay, no, it just can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Gains 500 for every tuner in your graveyard. And then when your opponent's monster declares an attack or activates a monster effect, you can banish Red Supernova Dragon until the end of your next turn to also banish all cards your opponent controls. And then during your next end phase, if it was banished by its own effect, it'll special summon itself back. And then lastly, I play one copy of Red Hypernova Dragon. Red Hypernova Dragon has the effect of it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That's why I kept thinking the other two had the same effect, protection effect. But as a quick effect, it can banish itself as well as every card from your opponent's field and graveyard. And then it will summon a Red Nova Dragon from your extra deck, treating it as a Synchro Summon. And the fun part of Red Hypernova Dragon and Red Supernova Dragon is that neither of their effects to banish themselves is once per turn. Technically, if I was playing Assault Synchron in this deck, then you could technically use either one of their effects 3 times in one turn by having Assault Synchron in the graveyard and Red Zone on the field. Because Red Zone can summon itself back, and then Assault Synchron has the graveyard effect. If a Dragon Synchro monster on your field is tributed or banished by a card effect, I think it's tributed. It might just be leaves the field by card effect. Then you can banish it from your graveyard to target a banished Dragon Synchro monster and special summon it. So you can banish it from your graveyard to bring back Red Hypernova Dragon. But that is it for my Red Dragon Archfiend Mitsurugi deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks like C be made in the future, or decks like C face each other, I am still trying to make a decent Stardust Dragon deck to pit against Red Dragon Archfiend. But at this point, I feel like Stardust just can't stand up to Red Dragon Archfiend at all. But if you have any ideas for suggestions, feel free to comment down below. I always read the comments and try any suggestions. If you're still here, thanks for watching.